Welcome back, Real Dealies. Luckily, the Earth is still spinning.
Yeah, it was a bit touch and go after that last episode.
Right. Dr. Ronald's favorite tree almost fell down.
And we won't even mention Kyle's soap turner.
But you just did.
Well, on that note, from Ball State University, The Real Deal starts now.
Welcome to another lackadaisical episode of The Real Deal, Ball State's premier entertainment news show. I'm Eli Brunsman.
And I'm Angelo Oriama. This week, we have Shelby Deal with a delicious review, Abby Perry and Nathan Richard with top 5's, and a whole lot.
And don't forget Rob White, reclaiming his music legacy.
Yes, he's back, and he is better than ever.
Speaking of better than ever, what are your thoughts on Drew Barrymore?
Well, I'd say she's definitely the most underrated Charles Angel.
Really? That's the first thing that comes to mind when I say Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
Not 50 First Dates, Never Been Kissed, or E.T.?
Eli, E.T. hasn't even come onto the show yet. Don't spoil it. I don't want to blow my cover.
What cover? You just spoiled it yourself.
I say no more, okay? Shelby, before she can go saying any more secret information, please take it away.
The second season of the Santa Clarita Diet just hit Netflix, and you know I binged the entire thing this weekend so I could give you guys a review of it. Just in case you guys need a refresher or you haven't watched this hidden gem, the series follows a family of 3 where the mother suddenly turned into a zombie. The second season picks up where the first left off. Sheila and Joel, along with their daughter Abby, try to figure out how to navigate life with Sheila being undead and craving a bunch of flesh. This season is even crazier than the last, with the gang trying to find out how Sheila became undead, a cop investigating the missing people and finding other people who are undead. The best part about this series is how lighthearted it is. It is so funny, which you don't get a lot of in the dystopian genres, especially ones that involve zombies. It is almost a dark comedy because Sheila is killing people to eat their guts, but she does not seem evil because of the tone of the show. It is not like The Walking Dead where you can't sympathize with the zombies at all because there is no human aspect left of them. The lightheartedness of the show shines through the most ridiculous moments in the show. It is hard not to laugh at these moments. A great example of this moment is when Sheila and Joel have to dig up Gary's body, a guy they killed in the first season. They have to do this because a housing development that they are working on is going to build houses on the land where they buried the body. What a coincidence. So they dig it up and find that Gary is still alive, rather undead. However, he is only a severed head. Sheila bit him, so he turned into a zombie. Joel and Sheila talk to Abby, their daughter, about how Gary is still alive, and she just replies with, "Everyone knows to kill a zombie, you have to go for the brain." It does not quite break the fourth wall, but still shows a funny self-awareness. Well, they keep Gary around in a vase for the rest of the season, which is such a funny image. The show is full of what would be gruesome moments, but the lighthearted tone makes it funny rather than sad. It is great. To go along with the lightheartedness of the show, it also does not take itself too seriously. As mentioned before, the show is self-aware. It knows it is ridiculous, which makes it fun to watch because it pushes the envelope. One of the worst things about the horror genre in general is that it tends to take itself too seriously. Like movies that have a lot of gore are hard to take seriously, especially if it is not done well. This show has gore, obviously, and it is not done well, but you can tell that it was a purposeful choice, which just adds hilarity to it. That is seen with Gary's severed head, which has deteriorated greatly with flaps of skin by the neck where it got cut off from the body. It was obviously computer generated, but it went with what the show was going for. Another example of this is when Sheila actually bites her human food. She goes for the neck, tearing it out, and blood spurts everywhere. You can tell it is spurting from something other than a vein from the neck because it shoots straight out, spraying all over the place. They also go for exaggeration with this type of thing. When Sheila killed someone in her kitchen, blood went all over the room, on the counters, the appliances, and the cabinets. It is so funny because it is so out there. This show is really great and easy to watch. There are only 10 episodes per season and they are only around 30 minutes each. You could easily get it done in a weekend like I did. The characters are really likable, even though one of them is technically the undead and the rest are helping her cover up the murders. However, she's only killing evil people like Nazis, so that probably has something to do with the likability. And all the ridiculousness of the show, it also focuses on things like family, friendships, and love. It is a good show to watch if you don't want to think about a lot what is going on and just want to laugh. I definitely recommend it to you if you have some downtime.
Thanks, Shelby.
Yeah, sounds really like something I could sink my teeth into. Get it? You like sink?
I liked it better when you were anti-pun.
What can I say? I've come back from the dead.
I think I'd rather hear Parker Carlson talk about the new Pacific Rim movie.
All right, hey, well, maybe it's more than meets the eye. You know what I'm saying?
That's from Transformers.
Right. All right, well, take it away, Parker.
Once in a while, you run across a movie that surprises you. Before I watched the first Pacific Rim a couple years ago, I thought it would be a forgettable action movie with giant robots fighting giant monsters. Then I watched it and found out it was an awesome, unforgettable action movie with giant robots fighting giant monsters. Fast forward to today, and I was hesitantly excited to see the sequel, Pacific Rim Uprising. Even though the sequel is handled by a different director than Guillermo del Toro, I thought it could at least live up to the success of its predecessor. I was wrong. Pacific Rim Uprising fails in almost every single way. Uprising throws in an entirely new cast into the mix, half of which are young teenagers who are not good at acting. Right off the bat, the movie expects you to believe that some 14-year-old girl can build her own giant robot, then expertly pilot it. Even in the world of giant kaiju coming out of the ocean to wreak havoc on the world, that's a big stretch. The other kids are just as worse. You'll never learn their names or bother to care about them. At the climax of the movie, when they're in their most dramatic moment, you will be left wondering, who are these kids? Why are they even here? And the other adults won't be winning Oscars either. Scott Eastwood plays John Boyega's foil and was laughably bad. Even in his most serious moment, I had to hold myself back from laughing at him. Any conflict he had with Boyega's character was resolved in the first half hour, so their whole character dynamic and relationship was just wasting time in this already short movie. And speaking of relationships, Uprising tried to squeeze in a ham-fisted love triangle between Boyega, Eastwood, and some random woman who only appears on screen for like less than a minute. I could go on and on about how there's a million side plots that don't go anywhere, how this hour and 50-minute movie somehow feels even shorter, but in the end, people come to see Pacific Rim for one thing, the action. And just in case you were still holding out hope that maybe the action alone could be worth the price of admission, let me be the first to tell you, it's not. You would think that a movie with giant rock'em sock'em robots would be at least visually interesting, and the first one was. It had great juxtaposition of dark nighttime settings with bright neon colors that fit well into the movie's aesthetic that it was aiming for. Uprising instead elects to dull the colors down by making it all during the day with heaps of gray thrown about. The actual action itself was extremely boring. None of the punches or kicks had any real oomph to them like the original. The giant robots fighting instead felt like people in cardboard suits trying to dance around a city. Any new robots with somewhat interesting fighting styles were instantly destroyed, so the entire movie, you're stuck watching the same robot fight the same exact way. And the accompanying soundtrack to the fights was just terrible. Half the time you couldn't recognize there was any music in the background, while the other half it sounds like a monkey slamming two trash can lids together. Overall, Pacific Rim Uprising was a complete mess. It's a blatant cash grab that didn't even bother to realize what made the original special. And normally I don't like giving reviews a star rating because I feel like they're just too subjective and don't mean anything. But Pacific Rim Uprising is my one exception. Since there is literally nothing in this movie that is memorable or likable, I will give it 0 out of 5 stars. Save your money and see you later. I'm Parker Carlson.
Thanks, Parker. Looks like I'll be keeping my money safely in my wallet.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever given out a 0 out of 5 before, not even like the 50 Shades movies.
What do we do in this situation?
Go to commercial?
Yeah, we'll be right back.
A whole virtual universe.
Let me take you on a trip around the world and back.
People come to the Oasis for all the things they can do.
And you won't have to wait to sit still.
The
He wouldn't cheat on you, would he?
He's not touching me, so if he's not getting it from me, he's getting it from somewhere. You lie and you cheat. I'm Diana, Robert's fiance.
A war is coming.
That's damn calm.
Watch me do my. I
hope you're ready, bro.
Cause I'm just getting started.
Let's have some fun.
Welcome back, everyone. This section of The Real Deal is brought to you by the best of the best.
As in, we have not one, but two top fives.
Not to mention, they're of Dr. Ronald's two favorite things, Pixar and Steven Spielberg.
He's a real big Cars fan, almost as much as our EP Brandon. Remember when he...
No. We were told we would never speak about that line ever again.
I'm sorry. But don't worry. I'm pretty sure Cars 3, 2, and 1 didn't make the list.
Phew, well, that's a relief. So, without further ado, here's Abby Perry with her top 5 Disney Pixar movies. Abby?
Big news, Incredibles 2 is coming out soon. Coming June 15, 2018 is the release of The Incredibles 2. I am so excited for this movie. I remember when the first one came out and thinking how epic it was. Now, The Incredibles is not the only incredible movie to come from Disney Pixar. I am a longtime Disney Pixar movie lover, and I have boiled down my top 5 for you this week. In 5th place is The Incredibles. I know, it seems crazy that this one isn't number 1 based on the whole start of this segment, right? I agree, but saying this is number 5 is still saying it is an incredible movie. I'm sorry, it's just too easy. This movie has a lot of comedy for kids and adults, which is a bonus for the parents. The Incredibles focuses on a family, each with their own special superpowers, fighting an evil villain. It will make you laugh and it'll warm your heart. It also teaches a valuable lesson, as all kids' movies do. In 4th place, I have Up. This movie, let me tell you, you will laugh so hard you'll cry, and you will cry so hard that you'll laugh at yourself for getting so emotional at a movie. This movie is about a little boy and a little old man that go on a crazy adventure together in a house being lifted up by balloons. The little boy is not supposed to go, but he ends up in the house, and him and the old man are forced to work together. They meet talking dogs and a crazy famous man. The old man learns to let go of the past, and he honors his wife by living a more fulfilling life. And the little boy gets a father figure back in his life. The two make a perfect pair, and they really make you value your loved ones. And 3rd place is Monsters, Inc. This movie doesn't even need an explanation. I remember laughing every single time I watched this movie, even though I knew every line that was coming. This is another movie that teaches a few lessons, but it also has a unique twist of taking something that scares kids the most, which is monsters in the closet, and turning it into something to make kids less afraid. Plus, who wouldn't want to live a day in the life of monsters? How cool would that be? In 2nd place is every Toy Story movie just clumped together. It was too hard for me to choose. You have all of these awesome toys coming together to help the humans without ever being caught. The best are clearly 1 and 3, but they're all so great. As a kid, I grew so attached to each toy, and when they held hands in the fiery furnace, you bet your bottom dollar I was one of the big kids crying in the theater. And number 1, and I felt that this one was a pretty easy choice for me, is Finding Nemo. Or was it Fabio or Elmo? Who knows? Dory can't get it right either. This movie was always great in the normal Disney Pixar sense, but also just the fact that it explores the ocean. I mean, the part when they're spreading the story to the whole ocean is so cool to me. The movie is also hilarious. I learned how to speak whale, and I got a lot of really funny quotes that I share with my family quite often to have a laugh. I was always afraid of the ocean, but this movie gave me something to imagine when I went to the beach, which was pretty cool. Now, there is one movie that was being made during the joining of Disney and Pixar, so it can't make the list. But it does deserve special mention. Meet the Robinsons. This movie isn't as widely known, and I want to encourage everyone, especially adults, to watch this movie. You will laugh and cry once again, but it will still warm your heart. This is the story of a boy that wants to find his mom and stop being an orphan, but he soon looks to the future and sees the greatness that lies ahead. For this segment, I'm going to end with a quote featured in this movie. The quote is from Walt Disney himself, and it reads, "Around here, however, we don't look backwards for very long. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors and trying new things, because we're curious, and curiosity leads us down new paths." Thank you for listening. I'm Abby Perry.
Thanks, Abby. You know, I think our resident pilgrim Kyle Woldridge is also one to shed a tear at that film.
I think it's mostly because his people were extinct before the time machine was invented, though.
But there was a dinosaur. They can go back in time.
You don't need to go back in time to get dinosaurs, Eli. Haven't you heard of Jurassic Park? You know, giant T-Rex. They try to take it off the island, it ends in a failure, and that dino is probably its offspring.
I don't think those two things are related.
That's what you think. Now I bet our boy Nathan Richard can clear things up. Take it away, Nathan.
I'm Nathan Richard, and with Ready Player One hitting theaters this weekend, I decided to celebrate by once again talking about my Lord and Savior, Steven Spielberg. And what better way to talk about him than counting down his top 5 best movies. At number 5, I have Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is a movie that, despite having been released in 1993, still holds up today. The dinosaurs look magnificent, and here I would even argue that they look better here than they actually do in Jurassic World. The main characters, played by Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern, and Richard Attenborough, are well fleshed out and are more memorable than most people give them credit for. The story is totally engaging, and despite the ridiculous concept of dinosaurs being in the modern day, Spielberg is able to make it actually feel plausible. Plus, who can forget that iconic theme song? At number 4 is Saving Private Ryan, which is still to this day the greatest war movie ever made. The opening sequence of the movie, while extremely graphic, is one of the most immersive movie scenes I've ever witnessed. The movie clocks in at about 3 hours, but that runtime is never felt for a second, as I was so caught up with the story. Not to mention that this movie was so wrongfully robbed of a Best Picture Oscar win, because so many people still talk about Shakespeare in Love. At number 3 is E.T. the Extraterrestrial. You would never guess that you could be so emotionally invested with a weird-looking brown alien, but you would be wrong. E.T. was the first Spielberg film I ever watched, and it was one of the first movies that I watched that made me fall in love with movies. The story and themes of friendship and growing up still feel relevant today. If you live under a rock and somehow haven't seen a movie directed by Steven Spielberg, E.T. is the perfect film to start. Number 2 is Schindler's List, Spielberg's first movie that won Best Picture, and deservingly so. Schindler's List is one of the most devastating films I've ever seen. It's elegantly made, and the choice to shoot the film in black and white makes it feel so much more authentic. Liam Neeson gives the best performance of his career as Oscar Schindler. Because of its depressing subject matter, I doubt I'll ever want to watch the film again in the near future, but it's so unforgettable thanks to the competence of Spielberg's direction. And finally, number 1. I think you know what movie I'm going to say. That's right, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Wait, I read that wrong. It's Jaws, but you probably already knew that. Jaws, along with Raiders of the Lost Ark and E.T., is probably the most iconic film in Spielberg's career. From its opening scene right to the ending, Jaws is a film that's unforgettable. It's a film that as years go by, I appreciate it more and more. And that's the top 5 best Steven Spielberg movies. It was hard to make this list, and it was even harder leaving off films like Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is such an entertaining adventure film, and it was an inspiration for so many things to come. But I also think that's with a lot of Spielberg's work, especially his earlier films. They were so iconic and memorable, and make you fall in love with the art of film. Maybe that's why I love them so much. Maybe that's why I call him my Lord and Savior. Until next time, I'm Nathan Richard.
Thanks, Nathan. Angelo,
Yeah.
what are you doing? We're in the middle of a show.
Oh, sorry, Mom, gotta go. Sorry, I had to phone home real quick.
You wouldn't have waited till commercial?
Who knows when that's gonna be?
Right now, we're about to go to commercial break.
My mistake.
We'll be right back.
My bad.
Let's talk about commercials. Let's, as in let us talk, and by that I mean let me talk about commercials. We've got them here on the Olive Garden sponsored Real Deal family. Commercials are as essential to television as Olive Garden's never-ending classics are to a nice quality evening. Olive Garden, when you're here, your family. There's a wide range of commercials, from PSAs to infomercials to gag commercials that just make you laugh. But how essential are they to streaming services?
Welcome back, everyone.
Now's the moment you've all been waiting for. Rob is about to take back that music title.
You see, this week, Eli, he's adding a slight twist to it. He's going to combine 2 of the best of both worlds, if you will.
Don't give it away.
I wasn't going to. Jeez, calm down. If it means that much to you, we'll just move right along.
Thank you. Without further delay, here's Rob White. Rob?
Jeez.
Growing up, music and film have always been my favorite interest. Ever since I heard Prince sing Purple Rain through my grandmother's record player, to watching Space Jam on VHS on my SpongeBob TV set as a kid. Look, I was young, don't judge me, and you can't deny Space Jam is a classic. despite Michael Jordan's acting. But seriously, these two mediums impacted my life to a point that I don't go a day without listening to music or looking up content that is movie related. However, that impact grew when I watched Michael Jackson's Thriller video for the first time. Despite my initial fear of the zombified pop star, I knew there was something about this particular short film that I gravitated towards. After a few more viewings, I fell in love, which led into me finding out about other music videos, which led into my mini obsession that I have today. Visuals for music is an art form that was huge back in the 90s and even during the 2000s. I remember waking up at the crack of dawn, getting ready for high school, and turning on MTV Jams, watching the latest music videos of the biggest artists at the time while I was brushing my teeth. Man, what a time. But sadly, we don't live in that time anymore. The excitement of music videos has died down and lost their hype, which makes me upset. Don't get me wrong, there are still music videos being made today that garner literally billions of views on YouTube, but you hardly ever hear people talking about them, other than asking, hey, did you see that video for that one song? I also understand that music videos can sometimes ruin a song, because every time you hear that specific song in the future, your mind goes back to that crappy video, which is understandable. But when it's done right, visuals and music go hand in hand with increasing your experience with a particular artist. For example, all the videos for Kendrick Lamar's last two projects, Damn and To Pimp a Butterfly, are not your stereotypical rapping in front of a camera video. They're cinematic and stunning to look at, and really enhance my appreciation for each song, thanks to the directors Colin Tilley and Director X. To wrap it up, music videos need to make a comeback. Yeah, some are still being made, like Hotline Bling and Despacito, but there needs to be more of a sense of hype around them again. People went crazy when Michael Jackson moonwalked on MTV back in the 80s. And maybe it's just for selfish reasons, but I want people to go crazy for them again. Come on, guys, let's make music videos great again. That's all I got for now. Until next time, I'm Rob White.
Thanks, Rob. Can't wait to see what you come up with next time.
Agreed. Now, tell me, Angelo, what's your favorite rom-com?
Well, that one's easy, Eli, and it's Scream.
That's a horror film, right?
Oh, then Titanic.
But a boat sinks, people die, she lets go. Do you know what a rom-com is?
A movie where two people fall in love and one of them meets their untimely fate. Most of the time that is death.
No. You know, I think Josie can clear things up for you.
We'll see.
Take it away, Josie.
If you are a fan of rom-coms and love gushy love stories like me, then I have the movie for you. Midnight Sun is a very romantic, heartfelt movie that will have you laughing one minute and then in tears the next. Katie Price lives a normal life. I mean, as normal as a girl can get when she has a rare disease called XP, which makes going outside in the sun deadly. She has to stay inside her house behind special windows, sleeping during the day and staying up all night. But other than that, she's a pretty normal teenager who loves music. Her overprotective dad and best friend since kindergarten are the only two people who really know Katie, till one night she encounters Charlie, a boy she has seen skateboard past her window every day for years. To her delight, Charlie asks her on a date, and Katie says she can be free at night. As the summer goes on, the two go out on nightly excursions, but the risk of Katie's disease and the danger of her secret hangs over her like the sun in the sky. Bella Thorne and Patrick Schwarzenegger star as Katie and Charlie in the super romantic, heartfelt film. While watching this movie, I couldn't decide if I liked it or not at first. It starts out like the stereotypical rom-com, and I wasn't sure if there really was a good story in it. But by the end of the movie, the whole theater was in tears, and it was one of the best romantic movies I've seen in a while. I'd even argue that it was better than The Fault in Our Stars. The movie was really funny and a really good story about love, friendship, and family. It ended up being a lot better than I first gave it credit for. Music was also a major plot of the movie, and all the songs were catchy and fit in well with the rest of the movie. Bella Thorne has a beautiful voice, and it made the film more emotional. Overall, I would give this film a 4 out of 5 stars and recommend, if you like rom-coms or chick flicks, to grab a box of tissues and go see this movie immediately. That's all I got for you this week. I'm Josie Underhill. See you next time.
Thanks, Josie.
You know, she mentioned tears, so I'm sticking with my definition.
Whatever floats your boat, Angie.
Okay, I'm going to pretend that you didn't just call me that, and I want to move on to our shameless plug before our final word.
Fine. This week we have the one and only Noah Bullard bringing you commercialized television.
Isn't that what we're about to bring to them, though?
No, we're about to show them what's opening this weekend. We'll be right back.
Mayor Kobayashi issues emergency orders, calling for a hasty quarantine. Trash Island becomes an exile colony. The Isle of Dogs.
I don't think I can stomach any more of this garbage.
Exactly.
Same here.
Words out of my mouth.
Nobody's giving up around here, and don't you forget it, ever.
You're Rex. You're King. You're Duke. You're Boss. I'm Chief. We're a pack of scary, indestructible alpha dogs.
Lives. I want to go to prom and lose my goddamn virginity.
Prom night. It's kind of perfect.
I'm in.
Julie left her laptop open.
You guys are snooping on our kids?
All emojis have a secret meaning.
Oh, eggplants are dicks. This is some kind of a dick-related agreement.
Maybe they're just saying, hey, you're okay with me. You're okay with me.
I mean, maybe.
What?
Our girls are not thinking things through. I'm gonna stop them.
Since Abby ranked some Disney films for us today, I figured I would talk about something Disney related I've been seeing all over Twitter. Since this weekend, there has been this bracket floating around of people choosing between Disney movies to determine which are the best of the best. This is all fun and games, and definitely creates some entertaining debate among Disney fans everywhere, but it also made me realize something. Why don't we just respect each other's movie opinions? Most of it is in jest, but there are some legitimate comment wars inspired by this one dude's Disney bracket. Friendships are being ruined over these Pixar opinions. The fun of a bracket like this is that it's totally subjective. It makes absolutely no sense to come at someone's neck over what movies they find the cutest, funniest, or most entertaining or whatever, especially because a lot of factors go into these choices. For instance, nostalgia may determine which movies are your favorite. If you spent every sleepover at grandma's watching Toy Story, that will probably be your favorite. If you grew up watching The Incredibles with your best friends, it will definitely have a special place in your heart and in your bracket. And another thing that might influence your personal opinions is just like your vibe. I don't like Finding Nemo because I'm too sensitive of a person to watch a movie about a lost baby fish. How can anyone handle 2 hours of this kind of emotional torture? And that's just one of the reasons I'm too scared to post a Disney bracket. I don't want to be crucified for thinking Lilo and Stitch is the best of the best. But no, I won't pretend that I don't poke fun at my friends' opinions sometimes, and it's honestly one of my favorite things to do. But it's important to remember that we are all different, and that's what makes us cool. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll let Angelo take it away now.
Thanks, Celia. Very well said. Now, I spent a lot of time on this show talking about the sanctity of entertainment and how its various mediums are art. And often, despite my love for series like Star Wars or the MCU, I find it necessary to drag some more of the popcorny, sheer entertainment value films through the mud for not doing anything smart or interesting. Today, however, I want to throw that out the window and acknowledge instead the brighter side of the corny, hokey, and outright dumb movies, and how embracing the camp can make for an immensely enjoyable experience, even if it's not going to win anyone an Oscar anytime soon. This past week was consumed by me watching, in order, Cute Little Buggers, The Attack of the Southern Fried Zombies, and the 6th, 7th, and 8th Fast and Furious films. Now, the first two I mentioned were part of our sister show, Rental Breakdown, which I highly recommend checking out if you haven't yet. Shameless plug alert. But these fit in well enough when discussing Fast and the Furious films too, and that's because these films are out of their minds. They make no sense, and they make no attempt to make sense. They're just there for you to sit back, shut your brain off for, and indulge them without overthinking them. And as much as I can understand the negative impact that people think that these films can have on the industry, I also can't help but enjoy these experiences. You know, sitting on a couch with friends, laughing at explosions and horrifically written dialogue, more than a lot of other film experiences I can remember recently. Now here's the thing, quality is undoubtedly subjective, as Eli's mentioned, as many people have mentioned today. But regarding films that thrive on their absurdity or campiness, indulging in purposefully making a movie that's unquestionably crazy and lacking sense can result in a really fun product. Watching Vin Diesel perform a headbutt after a 5-foot jump towards opponent makes no sense. Witnessing Dwayne Johnson grab a missile out of the air and aim it at someone else's car is baffling. Wrapping my mind around the idea of a group of alien bunnies murdering countless men and abducting women to be inseminated may be the stupidest plot I've ever heard of. But that doesn't mean that these shouldn't exist. Okay, when sequels, remakes, cash grabs, and movies with no noticeable effort swamp heartfelt and brilliant films at the box office, that unquestionably sucks. But when I sit down at the end of a hard week and throw on a movie, I don't always want to see it or experience the heartbreaking details of Schindler's List or the magnificent but complex world that's set up in Inception. Sometimes I just want to sit back and watch a pack of extraterrestrial bunnies scaring the townfolk or a free-loving Georgian mayor slapping zombies with an electric guitar. From this day forward, I will stand as a defendant of these waste of time, absurd, bold quotation mark films because if they don't make for some of the most charming, laugh-inducing, good time-having experiences, then to be honest, I really don't know what does.
Well said, Angelo.
Thank you, and there's a lot more where that came from. Trust me. So, if you want more from The Real Deal, check out our website, Facebook, and Twitter pages for news and updates on all things entertainment. I'm Angelo Oriamo.
And I'm Eli Brunsman. We'll see you next time.